Hey guys, it's Victoria with Nutrition by Victoria, and in this video I'm going to be discussing dietary fat, specifically what it is and how much we need to be consuming on a daily basis in order to meet our needs and avoid consuming excess fat. So before I get into this video, I just want to mention that I did do a detailed blog post about fat, and I'll leave it down below in the description. It'll contain more information than what I'll be discussing in this video, so if you would like to check it out after the video, please go do that, and also feel free to ask me any questions. What is dietary fat, or fat in general? Fat is just a group term for fatty acids, which are substances that are found pretty much in any living creature, whether it be plant or animal. So the significance of fat is that it is hydrophobic. So its main role in the body is pretty much for protection and insulation, although the essential fatty acids also provide anti-inflammatory, especially omega-3s provide anti-inflammatory benefits. But in general, fats line our cells in they keep water in and keep water out, and they also will regulate fluid balance in that way as well. So they do serve quite an important role within the system, but all of our cells are pretty much constructed with the fats that they need as we are created in the womb. So our dietary needs for fat, they are larger while we're children, but as we become adults, they're very minimal. So in general, our dietary fat requirement is only about 1.5% of our total daily calorie needs, and then it can, vary from there depending on what your goals are and what your diet composition is, etc. from there. But basically, my point is that our needs for dietary fat are very low, and there's more diseases associated with excess consumption of dietary fat than anything else. Basically, a fatty acid can be broken down into different kinds. We have our saturated and our unsaturated fatty acids. They vary according to chain length and bonding. And then with the unsaturated fats, we have the monounsaturated fats and the polyunsaturated fats, which both will differ according to chain length and bonding as well. And our polyunsaturated fats is where our omega-3 and 6 essential fatty acids are found. So by essential, it means that we cannot make these fatty acids on our own. We need to consume them through our diet in order to replace our needs for them within our body. But any other fats we can actually construct from carbohydrates, construct from excess protein parts, construct from just recycled cell bits within our body. So that's another reason why our dietary need for fat is so low, especially as adults. So animal-based foods, meat, dairy, eggs, fish, poultry, all tend to be high in saturated fat. Saturated fat is the fat that when we ingest it, especially in excess of our needs, which is only about 10% of our total daily fat intake, we store it on our body. So saturated fat becomes pretty much the fat that we wear on our body when taken in excess of our dietary needs. And it's very easy to do by consuming animal-based foods because they are the highest in saturated fatty acids. They also contain cholesterol, which we don't have any dietary need for whatsoever because our body makes its own. So it's really not necessary at all to consume animal-based foods in your diet. There's really nothing nutritionally that we can't get from plants that we get from animal foods. They're really just junk foods because they're high in fat, they're high in cholesterol, they're high in protein, they're high in salt, they're high in toxins, so they're a junk food. Real briefly, I'm going to talk about trans fat. This used to be more of an issue a few years ago because they were putting partially hydrogenated oils, which is a trans fat, in a lot of processed foods in order to increase their shelf life. I think trans fats have now been banned, or at least reduced in terms of usage for a lot of food companies and restaurants and things like that because of its detrimental effects on the human body. So you'll want to avoid trans fats completely as well, and basically avoid processed foods that have a really long shelf life. That means if that food is not breaking down on the shelf, it's not going to break down in your body, and your body's going to have a very hard time eliminating it from the system if it can't break it down. Into plant-based sources of fat. So this is where we're going to find the majority of our unsaturated fatty acids, because those are found in plant fats. One thing I want to mention about plant fats is that something that falls into the category of plant fats is oils. A lot of people think that, okay, oils, I use them for frying, I use them for cooking, I use them for salad dressings, whatever. Oils are something that's not necessary in the diet either. It's a refined food, meaning that it's 100% fat, and it will contribute to excess body weight and fat on your system when taken in excess of our needs, and it's very easy to do when fat is in that concentrated of a form. Oils include corn, safflower, olive, and they all vary in terms of fatty acid properties, but you don't need to be consuming any of them in your diet. So in order to be optimally healthy, minimize or eliminate completely the oil that's in your diet, which is why it's a good idea to prepare your own food so you know what's in it and you can avoid excess oil consumption, because that can contribute to skin breakouts, excess weight gain. Fat in general slows the digestive system down, and it will slow the metabolism down because it's such a large, dense molecule that the body has to process. Fat contains the most calories per gram, and it's because it's a huge molecule. It requires a lot of energy in order to be broken down. I mean, it can give you quite a bit of energy when it is converted into glucose, but that process is extremely inefficient and requires energy to do, which is why we need to be taking in enough carbohydrate calories on a daily basis in order to actually eliminate excess fat from our body. So it's kind of, people think, well, I'll just not eat, I'll just restrict my calories and get the excess fat off my body, but that actually promotes fat storage because you're slowing the metabolism down. So anytime we slow the metabolism down, we actually promote fat storage. So by eating excess fat, we're actually promoting excess fat storage by slowing the metabolism down. Okay, so let's get back into plant fats. So then with plant fats, we have our unconcentrated sources of plant fats, and we have our concentrated sources of plant fats. And our concentrated sources are going to be our overt fats, like our avocados and our nuts and seeds, coconut, plant fats that are whole in nature, but they contain higher amounts of fat than is found in other plant foods like sweet fruits, vegetables, legumes, and grains. So what is significant about that is that we really don't want to be consuming a whole lot of overt fatty foods, because those foods too, again, they can slow the system down, slow the metabolism down, and just, impair our functioning so it's not optimal. So we want to be consuming the majority of our dietary fat from unconcentrated plant-based fat sources. So we're talking about our fruits, our vegetables, our grains, and our beans. A low-fat diet. There's a lot of plant-based doctors out there like Dr. McDougall, Dr. Dean Ornish, Dr. Neil Bernard, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, who all have researched and found that consuming a low-fat plant-based diet is the most conducive to optimal health. It reduces the risk of heart disease. It actually can prevent and treat heart disease. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn found that out. through his research, Dr. John McDougall found that it's the most conducive for weight loss, so it'll prevent obesity. Neil Bernard found that following a low-fat, plant-based diet will prevent diabetes. So there's a whole host of chronic diseases that can actually be prevented and treated through following a low-fat, plant-based diet. And a low-fat, plant-based diet in general has other health benefits because it's high in nutrients, it's high in fiber, it's high in carbohydrate calories, which help to fuel the metabolism. But getting back into fat, we can actually fulfill all of our essential fatty acid needs by consuming especially raw fruits and vegetables, enough of them on a daily basis. Foods that are going to be high in omega-3 fatty acids are our leafy green vegetables, as well as fruits, especially berries. Concentrated sources of the essential fatty acids can be found in your chia and flax seeds, but you don't have to eat them if you don't want to. Just make sure you're eating enough fruits and vegetables, especially those leafy greens, in order to meet your omega-3 and 6 fatty acid, essential fatty acid requirements. So a lot of information about fat, but let's talk a little bit more about how much we need to have in our diet to be healthy. So ideally, you'll want to completely eliminate animal-based fats from your diet, completely eliminate animal foods. Like I said, they're junk foods. Get rid of any processed foods that contain oil, trans fat. Get rid of any oils from your diet for the best you can. I mean, having it on occasion is not going to kill you, but you want to keep it to a minimum, definitely. And focus your diet in fruits, vegetables, legumes, and grains for the majority of your calories, as well as for fulfilling your fatty acid needs, and sticking to lower amounts of avocado, nuts, and seeds, as well as coconut. So in general, in terms of total calorie intake, you'll want to stay below 15% of your total daily calories coming from fat, with less than 10% coming from saturated fat intake. The other thing I wanted to mention is if you're going for optimizing your health, your metabolism, and revving up weight loss and increasing fitness, you'll want to keep your fat as low as possible. So I suggest keeping it to 5% of your daily diet. So that means you're not going to be consuming overt fats on a daily basis, or oils or things like that. You can have them about a few times a week. You're looking at like a quarter to a half of an avocado per week, I think, max, or a few tablespoons of nuts and seeds here and there. If you'd like more specific information on that, you can ask me in the comments below, and also check out the blog post I wrote. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and informative. Please give it a like if you did, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and have a wonderful, healthy day. Bye.